Rivian is going to IPO tomorrow, or today if you're watching this on Wednesday, November 10th. I'm here today to discuss their S1, discuss their price range, see how you could actually buy it, and what I think will happen to the stock price after they start trading publicly. What's up guys, it's Prashant here. Welcome to my YouTube channel and thank you for joining me today. Rivian is a super exciting company, at least in my mind. To be honest with you, I had heard about Rivian before, but I hadn't done a deep dive into them until very recently, till I heard a little bit more buzz about it. And I'm going to be honest with you, once I looked into it on Google and on YouTube, I was blown away. Rivian is a new company in their EV market, and they just started delivering their first vehicles back in September of this year with their R1T pickup truck. One of the coolest moments for me was when I was watching the launch, the Blue Origin rocket launch that was carrying Will Shatner, and I noticed that the astronauts were riding in the back of an R1T pickup truck over to the launch pad. I thought that was so cool. That's when I looked into it and I realized that Amazon was an investor in Rivian and they have a 20% stake. Now obviously both Amazon and Blue Origin are both Jeff Bezos' companies, so it all makes sense. In fact, I'm going to come back to this business relationship later in the video. Let's look at Rivian's S1 and see what we can find out. One thing to remember is that Rivian is a super new company and they haven't really delivered many cars yet. So likely they do not have much in terms of revenues, and that is what I expect to see in this S1 filing. Alright, here we go. On page 1 is just very basic information including their headquarter address and the state of incorporation. Delaware is expected. CEO is Robert J. Scaringe. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. When we get to page 3, we see that they're offering 135 million shares at a price target between $72 and $74. What this means is that Rivian will raise somewhere between $9.72 billion to $9.99 billion, valuing the company Rivian at just over $65 billion. Compare this to the market cap of Ford, which is $80 billion. It just sounds ridiculous, right? A company like Ford that has been around for more than 100 years has a market cap just over 23% larger than Rivian. Clearly, you're not paying for the current revenues or profits that this company Rivian is generating. Instead, if you choose to invest, you are clearly going to be paying for the potential of future profits. Let's scroll down and look through some of the pictures they have included in this prospectus. The very first picture we see is of a pickup truck off-roading, and this is a theme that we see over and over again with Rivian. Look, here's a tagline, keep the world adventurous forever. And then we see pictures of a family camping. Clearly, they're trying to market their cars to an outdoorsy crowd. I think page 12 is very interesting. The first picture is of their SUV, the R1S, and the second is of their truck, the R1T. But look at what we have just below that, a picture of an Amazon delivery van. Rivian is building an electric delivery van for Amazon. In fact, on top of being an investor, Amazon has actually placed an order of 100,000 delivery vans with Rivian. Okay, let's jump to page 33 to their summary consolidated financial data. I thought some stuff on here was pretty interesting. So the first two columns on this data are for the year 2019 and 2020, the entire year. And then the second two columns on the right hand side are the data for 6 months ending June 30th, 2020 and 2021. On this page, we see no revenues, which makes sense, right? No real car sales yet, so no revenues. In fact, the cars that they have delivered are in September of 2021, and this data just doesn't cover those dates yet. So no revenues makes sense. We do have plenty of expenses though. Look at this. Look at the R&D expenses in 2020, $766 million. Makes sense. They're developing an EV. There's a lot that goes on in that, right? There's a lot that they have to figure out. The batteries, the cars, the manufacturing facility, the assembly line, the labor, and everything else. But R&D expenses in just the first half of 2021 are $683 billion. If we extrapolate this, we get $1.36 billion in R&D expenses for just a year of 2021. So clearly they're burning through cash right now, and they're burning it at an increasing pace. To be honest, there isn't much financial data to parse through here. What we are seeing here is that this is a new company that's in its growth and development phase, so they have very, very high expenses and very, very low revenues, or zero revenues in this case. What will be interesting is to see its financial quarterly statements that they will be coming out and they will be reporting now that they will be a publicly trading company. Alright, now let's get back to talking about their IPO. When they start trading publicly on the NASDAQ, their ticker symbol will be RIVN. Now, they have actually completed several rounds of private funding, and their biggest stakeholders are Amazon at 20%, Ford at 14%, T. Rowe Price at 19%, and founder CEO RJ Scaringe at 11%. So far till date, Rivian has raised $11.15 billion. Now let's talk about how you could buy Rivian stock if you wanted to. Once it gets listed on the NASDAQ and starts trading publicly, all the major brokerages should have access to this. So this means that all of your regular brokerages, Vanguard, Fidelity, Schwab, Robinhood, Webull, whatever it is that you use, you should be able to buy the stock on these brokerages. Sometimes the ticker symbol does not show up when you search for it till just before IPO. So if this happens to you like early in the morning on the trading day, just keep looking, and then later in the day, just before the IPO, maybe an hour or so, you will start to see it. We don't really know exactly what time it will start trading at. I have seen IPOs start trading around 10 a.m., 11 a.m., or 12 p.m., all times Eastern. Now, just by the way, if you wanted some free stock on Robinhood or Webull, you could use the links in the description down below to get that. Anyway, one thing that you should remember is that you will likely not be able to buy Rivian shares at the IPO price expected $72 or $74 or whatever. That is actually the price that institutional investors get when they invest in the IPO. That's just how it is. By the time it gets listed on the exchange and publicly traded, the price is actually set by the market, which can be higher or lower than the IPO price. Some companies are choosing to move away from this model where they do what is called a direct public listing, where their shares just get traded on the open market right away. Robinhood is a company that did this recently, but Rivian is going a more traditional route. The only retail investors that got access to Rivian shares at IPO price were select SoFi customers, and even they only had access to 0.4% of the shares being offered. So what do I think will happen to the stock price after IPO? Keeping in mind the general hype around EVs in the market right now, I believe that as soon as the stock gets listed on the NASDAQ and starts trading publicly, the stock price is going higher than $74. This is something that I have seen time and time again with hot IPOs in the last few years. So if you're looking to get into Rivian on IPO day, Wednesday, November 10th, 2021, I would say that your best path of action would be to set a limit order. This way you can tell your brokerage that an X dollar amount is the max dollar amount that you want to spend to buy Rivian stock. Whether it's $74, $84, $94 or $1,000. It's completely up to you. But once you set that amount, then you will not get caught up in the frenzy of trading on IPO day, and you will not be making an emotional decision. You have time right now. You can decide how much you want to pay for that and then set your limit order to that number. Now I have to caution you, with hot IPOs like this one, there is sometimes, or I should say maybe even often, a pullback or a crash in the price of the stock, either later on IPO day or in a few days. This is something that I got burned with when I bought into the Snap IPO on IPO day. So what happens is a lot of people will buy the hype and buy the stock on IPO day as soon as they can get in, and they will be paying higher and higher prices to be able to get in. And so the stock price keeps rising, and then all the traders who were in it just for the trade, they sell at the top, and suddenly the stock price plummets, and some people are not able to get out in time. And sometimes these traders might end up holding the bag, and they might have to hold on to the stock for a long time to be able to recover from their losses. So if you think that you want to be in Rivian for a short amount of time. If you're trading the stock, make sure you're using limit orders to get in and maybe even get out. Now, if you're in it for the long term and you just don't care, that's a different matter completely. One other thing is that you could wait a few days to see how the volatility is, and maybe in a week or a month, the stock calms down and you know where the price is, and see if that price is correct for you, and maybe you can open a position at that time. But it's completely up to you. Look, overall, I'm super excited for Rivian. The products look cool and they have first mover advantage. They are the first company to bring an electric truck to the market, beating out both Ford and Tesla. The second thing that I think is very interesting that Rivian is doing is that they're targeting the outdoorsy crowd. The off-roading capabilities of their truck, the R1T, are truly astounding. And I think that it is a really smart move for Rivian to target this crowd. At $67,500, this is an expensive truck, and they need customers with deep pockets. And I'll tell you one thing about outdoorsy people, they spend a lot of money on their gear. Now, one thing to remember though is that Rivian has access to the federal EV tax credit of $7,500. So in reality, this truck is actually going to cost customers about $60,000. The next thing that I'm excited about is the deal with Amazon to supply 100,000 delivery vans. This means that Rivian has a standing order, which means that there is a steady revenue stream as long as Rivian can deliver on these vehicles. And I think this can be a huge growth sector for the company as well. Once the exclusivity deal with Amazon expires, Rivian should be able to market their trucks, their delivery vans, to other companies like FedEx and UPS as well. One black horse factor that I'm thinking can be a boost for Rivian is the decline in Tesla stock. Ever since Elon Musk tweeted that he's planning on selling some of his Tesla holdings in order to pay his tax bill, Tesla stock has been sliding down. In fact, today Tesla closed 12% down. I'm sure a lot of people either closed out or trimmed their positions in Tesla during this downturn. For people who are actually looking for a place to put that money, Rivian could be a good option, especially if they want to maintain an EV position. For a lot of people who think either Tesla is overvalued or they just want to diversify their EV holdings, Rivian could be a good play. I think long-term, Rivian could be a good stock, especially after its stock price stabilizes after the inevitable IPO day volatility. That's all I have for you guys in today's video. I hope you got some value out of this video, and if you did, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel and smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Go ahead and leave any questions or comments in the comment section down below, and I will do my best to get back to you. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.